Hi, my name is Leland Schoon. the area rangeland management specialist in South Central South Dakota for the Natural Resources Conservation Service. I'm going to give you a quick presentation on defending rangeland against smooth bone grass. So the definition of insanity, or you've likely heard the saying, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and getting the same result, yet expecting a different one. Let us consider the argument of smooth brome grass invasion across native rangeland of the northern Great Plains. This is the reason why I'm here to talk with you about defending rangeland from smooth bromegrass invasion. For 23 years of my 33-year career in 3 states, I heard that getting rid of invader non-native grasses was to graze them early. It is still said that where the goal is to eliminate smooth bromegrass, it should be grazed in early spring, allowed to rest for a short time, and grazed again in less than 20 days. What I was observing was similar to the saying I started with. Ranchers were trying to get rid of smooth brome grass, yet there was no long-term result, which confirmed what I observed. Over my 30-year career, I searched for answers. My observations explored the ecosystem services by digging holes with a shovel, making observation of soil aggregates, the rhizosheath on the roots, the number of parent and green reproductive tillers, and amount of healthy-looking native grass vigor. Very basic plant physiology. In year 2018, I met Van, who was willing to put my hypothesis to the test. Here was the scenario. In 2018, I met a South Dakota landowner named Van. He had undisturbed native rangeland, which was overcome by smooth brome grass, in excess of 80% canopy. It was overstocked and had no grazing rotation. In February 2019, Van attended the workshop titled Biologically Effective Grazing Management Strategy. By year 2020, he had a 5-pasture grazing rotation, implementing the twice-over rotation while receiving positive feedback and monitoring from his grazing management coach. By year 2022, 4 years, his native rangeland had 42% native grass and forb species, and smooth brome grass was obviously thinning. This list is what was found just this summer of 2024. The point here is that it doesn't take a lifetime to thin smooth brome grass and to restore native species. There was no spray, no fire, and no seeding. It was simple grazing rotation, which is repopulating native soil organisms which are symbiotic with native plants. This is also the best treatment if you don't have invasive species. To paraphrase Benjamin Franklin, prevention is your best cure, and it's the best way to defend native rangeland against invader plants. Eric Lamb from the University of Saskatchewan has found that smooth brome grass thrives in bacteria-rich soil environments. This has a negative effect on soil conservation, a neutral effect on water purification, soil climate regulation, and nutrient cycling, and positively increases grass production, which is a monoculture of smooth brome grass. Ranchers find that livestock nutrition and gain decreases over the growing season, resulting in lost value to the ranch business. We need more fungi to offset the abundant bacteria. Dr. Llewellyn Mansky, a range scientist at the North Dakota State University Dickinson Research Extension Center, was reviewing research done 20 plus years while conducting his own experiments. Since around 1996, his work has shown that to graze native rangelands in northern Great Plains can result in more vegetative reproductive tillers. Managing photosynthesis through partial defoliation of native grasses starts at the 3.5 leaf stage and prior to flowering, providing the environment to increase mycorrhizal fungi. This achieves greater root depth and mass, the perfect soil organism habitat. By now, we all should have heard of the 6 soil health principles, one of them being to maintain an active living root as long as possible. Partial defoliation achieves this on native rangeland. More recently, there has been work done similar to what Dr. Mansky of North Dakota described over 30 years ago. In year 2020, we began hearing about adaptive multi-paddock grazing, and in 2023, a paper described something similar, yet referred to as context-dependent management. Both of these talk of partial defoliation of 40 to 50% in order, really, to maintain a period of greenness, longer than grasses which are allowed to head out. With an improved fungal to bacteria ratio, we have healthier native rangeland soils and plants. Academically, we are taught that warm season grasses like it warm. We have found that a native warm season grass, such as big bluestem, can be vigorous at the 3-leaf stage by the last week of May in south central South Dakota. The point here is this. If we think we can beat up smooth bromegrass by overgrazing it early, and then again 20 days later, we will continuously overgraze our native cool and warm season species, suppressing them and making for a bacteria-saturated soil which invader grasses love. Partial defoliation also provides other benefits like drought-resilient rangeland, improved water use efficiency, and increased weight gain on livestock. I will describe how to get it done before I conclude. Write down these 7 steps and hear me when I say properly implement. 1. Ignore the smooth bromegrass. Pretend it's not even there. 2. Stock density should be considered for your situation, somewhere between 1 and 1.5 acres per animal unit month. 3. Do you need a lot of pastures? Not really. 3, 4, 5, or 6 pasture rotation, no more. 4. First rotation is to stimulate the native grasses starting at the 3.5 leaf stage and before they flower, 45 days. Topping the grasses with only 25 to 33% use. 5. Continue to grow the primary tiller and the secondary tillers, which are a result of the first rotation. 6. Second rotation begins around July 15th. We call this the harvest, using proper use management, no more than 50%. 7. Allow the fall tillers to grow by removing livestock mid-October. I am excited that there are finally 3 sources which seem to be agreeing that partial defoliation of native grasses before they flower fits the ecosystem processes the best. There is still really only one source which describes it clearly. This talk is not the recipe book, but just an introduction on how to defend rangeland against invasive species and status quo management.